Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Sarah. You're very welcome to my channel. It is Friday the 11th of June 2021. This is my Flosstube episode 3 and this is my channel all about cross-stitching, embroidery, quilting and whatever other needlecraft takes my fancy. So thank you for joining me this morning and I hope that you enjoy the time that you spend with me here. Since the last time we have had a bank holiday weekend here in Northern Ireland. It is the late spring bank holiday, which is always the last Monday in May. And this time we had glorious weather because the bank holiday at the beginning of May was a complete washout, so we weren't able to do anything nice. But this time the weather was beautiful and my husband and my little daughter Charlotte and I headed off to Marula Bay, which is near Dundrum and the Mourne Mountains. And I thought for those of you around the world who haven't been or know of Northern Ireland that you might like to see a couple of photographs. There are only a few, but it was very pretty. It was a lovely bright sunny day, although it was a little bit hazy down there actually, as you'll see from the photographs of the mountains. But we spent a very nice morning wandering through the sand dunes. There are, as my husband tells me, 6,000-year-old sand dunes there at Marula Bay. And they are riddled with rabbit holes. Apparently the Normans came and they built a castle at Dundrum, but the Normans brought rabbits with them to Ireland and the place became overrun. So although maximatosis or mixomatosis kind of had a big impact on that and some years ago, but there were still plenty of rabbit holes and my little one had a great time running through the sand dunes and jumping over rabbit holes for the morning. It was glorious, so we were even warm on the beach, which doesn't happen terribly often here. There's always a wind. It's usually quite chilly even down at the beach, but we were able to spend a little bit of time with her building sandcastles and collecting shells in a bucket, and everybody was happy and a great bank holiday was enjoyed by all. So I hope you liked the little pictures. Just trying to show you a little bit of my environment for those of you who've not been here and who might one day decide to pop and visit the mountains of Mourne. You might have heard of the mountains of Mourne. They are our tallest mountains here in Northern Ireland, and the tallest, which you can see in the photograph there, is Slieve Donard. But there is a famous song by Percy French, and there's a line in that is the mountains of Mourne sweep down to the sea. So if you've heard that song, these are the mountains that he is writing about. Also, since the last time we met, Margaret came to stitch at my house. Now, admittedly, Margaret came to stitch and all we did was talk, but but she did come. Margaret commented on my first Flosstube. She came across me, sorry I'm fiddling, she came across me and she found the Flosstube video and she got in touch and said hello from just up around the corner. So Margaret and I know each other from our children going to primary school, and we were mums at the school gate together, we chatted and we were very friendly, and then of course our older children became more independent and changed schools and we were no longer at the school gates together, but I knew Margaret very well for a number of years, and it was really lovely that she reached out and said hello again, and that she stitches, and I had no idea all that time years ago that Margaret and I were both stitchers. So it was really nice, and she popped around for a cup of coffee and she brought her projects and she showed me all the lovely things that she's working on, and she's got a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous Janine McGowan, the blue flower wildflowers pattern on the go for cross-stitch camp, so I'm quite jealous. I'm get a case of the wanties because it's so lovely. But thank you for coming around, Margaret. I hope you'll come again, and maybe next time we'll actually get some stitches into the fabric instead of just chatting, but it was really good to catch up. So Flosstube has helped me make reconnections with Margaret, and that's been really, really nice. Also, my subscriber numbers have been steadily growing, and I am really, really chuffed to have passed the 1,000 subscriber mark. I owe that a lot to the shout outs that I have been given recently, and so with a little help or a lot of help from my new Flosstube friends, many of you have come across and visited and stayed and subscribed and have been very generous and kind in your comments about what you see here, and are engaging. So I have hit that milestone, and there will be a giveaway at the end, so please stay tuned for that. Don't miss out on it. So this is a good place to say thank you to those who have mentioned me in the last number of weeks. You continue to welcome me and to engage with me and encourage me, and it's really nice, so thank you so much. I want to thank Michelle at Bendy Stitches, who never in a million years did I think my name would pop up on Michelle's videos, but very kindly Michelle does shout outs for the under 1000 subs club, and my name was mentioned in one of her recent videos, and I know that a number of you have bounced across from Michelle to say hello. If you get a chance, you should check Michelle out. Her Flosstube is Bendy Stitches, and Michelle is she does very cool projects, really lovely designs, quite an eclectic mix of things. And Michelle is all about community and connection, and she runs some Zoom groups relating to the projects that she's currently stitching on. So if you want to find out a bit more about some of the connections that are going on around the Flosstube world, Michelle's a great place to visit. Then there's Jodi at Trixie Tricycle, and I love Jodi, and thank you so much, Jodi, for your kind shout out. Thank you for your dry humour, which I really get and really enjoy, and you have a lovely backdrop, and you've been changing your backdrop recently, so it's nice to see the different styles and things that you like, and the beautiful projects that you make. And Jodi's doing really well, joining lots of different sew-alongs, stitch-alongs at the minute, so I imagine that if you haven't already come across her, you will anyway, even if you don't hear about her from me, but go and check her out. Then there's Chris at xrossstitch. That's Chris xrossstitch is how it's all spelled. I am going to keep Chris's videos as my morning chuckle because he tells a really good story. And I absolutely love listening to Chris. He was kind enough to give me a shout out last week on his video, and I'm very thankful for that. I know a number of you have come across from Chris. I hope you agree that Chris is such an animated character, and he is so funny, and I am usually chuckling away to myself from the minute his cool theme music ends. He really just tickles me, and I really enjoy his projects. It's also really nice to watch Chris. You should go back to his first videos. He's just got 3 or 4 now, because you can watch the journey of someone who's coming into the community very new, like myself, but he's very new and he's building up his stitching, and he hasn't got lots of projects, but he's certainly getting that way, and it's just really nice to watch his enthusiasm and his growth. So please go there. You will not come away without laughing. I should also mention that Chris is running a hashtag on Instagram for Halloween stitching in June. It is hashtag Spooky Summer Stitch, and you can go there and join in and share your Halloween stitching and see what everyone else is up to as well. I know that Chris decided that he would run this because he knows people do Christmas in July, so he thought, why not do Halloween in June? So go along there and join in. I'm quite sure that's a very lively community, and it will be lots of fun to see available projects and what everyone else is up to. So thank you again, Chris. Thank you for your generosity in shouting me out, and thank you all of you for helping me to boost those numbers. And as I said before, it's not about the numbers, but the numbers do help the engagement, and I am really grateful to all of you who have subscribed for engaging, because we are having chat and we are having community here, and I love that. Thank you very much indeed. 2 other floss tubers that I thought I would mention today are Betsy Kleger, and you will just, that's what her channel is called, Betsy Kleger. And you have to mention Hamilton when you mention Betsy. Hamilton is Betsy's cat, who also features heavily either by mention or in person. I'm not even really sure how to describe Betsy. Unique might be the word to use, but I love watching Betsy. My only warning would be don't be drinking tea and stitching at the same time as watching Betsy, because there's a fair chance that in the random, unexpected utterances that Betsy makes, that you will spit your tea out all over your stitching. So don't do it. I've almost done it. So maybe just stick to water or don't have a drink while you're watching Betsy. She is very, very funny, and yeah, she brightens up my day, and she does lovely stitching too. So that's always a bonus. So thank you, Betsy, for your contributions to our community. And another funny one is Nicky from Nicky Noodle's Stitching in Australia. Nicky and Betsy and Jodi and Chris, they all have really great senses of humour, and it just, yeah, I really like to watch them and enjoy their personalities as much as their stitching. So go along and check them out. All of the links or the names will be down in the show notes below. So, since the last time we met, I also added a little tutorial to my channel, and you can go and check that out if you are interested in how to make the little floss sample cards that I showed on my video number 2. So it's just a short little video showing how to do that. You can have a look if you're interested. Now on to the stitching, which is what you came for. I have another fully finished object, folks. It's unbelievable, 2 in a row. But here you go. This is the Teresa Kogut Create Every Day, the free pattern that I told you was available on the Fat Quarter Shop website. You saw that I had stitched it in the sulky threads, which were just gorgeous. I was really happy with. So I had always intended that this would be a panel in a project bag, and so last weekend I added some, this is Essex linen in the colour Oyster, which I really love. It's not showing up very well here, but it's a really beautiful colour. I'll show you the back. That's the Essex linen and Oyster. I used the 12 weight sulky to quilt it with as well. This is the first time I've used it in my machine for quilting, and it really came out beautifully. If you can see, that's that variegated thread, but it worked beautifully, the quilting. So there's some echo quilting down here. There's echo quilting in this Liberty contrast fabric as well, just to hold the piece in place, really. As you can see, I went for a top zipper bag. I've made several bags, and I'll show you some more later. I made several this weekend, and I debated with myself whether I should put the zip kind of here along the front opening, but sometimes I feel that this piece above the zip is a bit wasted space. So I couldn't really but I do it, but I couldn't make up my mind at the weekend, so I just went for top zippers for all of them, and that's a really decent size. You could get an 8x8 Q-snap into that if you want, but it was very simple. It was just a matter of adding some fabric to the sides of the cross stitch piece, to the top and bottom, a little band of the linen, it's a cotton linen by Robert Kaufman, Essex, at the bottom, and some on the backing, and then I have added a little charm in front of my face again, a little charm here on the zipper pull, and a nice contrasting lining fabric inside. So I'm really happy with how that piece has finished up, and of course I'm quite sure there'll be a new start project in there very soon. Another finish this week has been the Shine On sampler. This is from the Bonnie and Camille Quilt Bee book that you can order from It's So Emma at Fat Quarter Shop. And There's a lot of stitching in there, but it was worth it. I'm really happy with how it finished. I'm glad to be finished a little bit ahead of the quilt along schedule, the stitch along schedule, and that means I can concentrate on some other projects now. But it's lovely to have it finished, and I'm going to probably frame it and hang it in my sewing space. So I need to think about that. I'm not entirely sure what way I want to do that, but it will probably just be quite simple. But I'm really happy to have that one finished. It was a lot of weeks, a lot of effort, but it was really nice to do. And I love everything Bonnie and Camille. So having a Bonnie and Camille cross stitch at last was novelty and enjoyed it. The WhipGo numbers for June have been called by Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and the numbers are 1 and 17. So for one of those projects, which number 1 on my WhipGo board was the Valentine Bakery pattern by Stitching with the Housewives. I hadn't already started this, so it is a new start project, and my WhipGo goals are to work for 10 hours on the project that's called. So the 10 hours was enough to start and finish this piece. And here it is. Okay. It was stitched on a piece of 18 count Ada that I had dyed at home with some Dylon vintage blue dye. I had a little experiment a couple of months ago and I was quite happy with that piece. I also tea dyed it, so you can see at this angle, you can see there are some tea dye markings. I have to say I'm not entirely sold on the tea dyeing side of things. I can't quite reconcile myself that it doesn't just look dirty. But I do see it in other people's projects and I don't think that at all. But on this one and on my work, I just think, gosh, that looks just like I rolled it around in the mud a bit. Maybe that's the point, but I'm not entirely sold. Anyway, this one is very lightly tea dyed, so there's not, by the time I probably make this into a little pillow or something, I won't be using very much of the outer mottling from the tea anyway. So there you go. I absolutely love so many of the Stitching with the Housewife patterns, and I was really pleased to be able to do this one as part of WhipGo. So it was nice to have one that got started and finished all in the one go. That was good. Then I have a little bit more progress on Home Sweet Home. Ooh, you can see me through that one. It's still on the Q snap because I'm hoping to work on it again this morning when I finish recording here, and before my little whirlwind comes home from school, I would like to get a little bit more work done. This is how it should look. Okay, isn't that house just absolutely glorious? And I told you that not to be surprised if you see half a tree and then a house appearing. I don't finish the tree because I was so impatient to get to the house. I really wanted to give it a start, and you can see that I did. So I'm working this on 32 count Murano in platinum, and I've left enough for borders because I'll probably frame it in some way when it's finished. And the thread that I'm using is Gentle Art 0892 Loganberry. The colour isn't showing very well, but it's sort of a mauve, caramel, shades of purple. It's very hard to describe, but it's very beautiful. So I'm pleased with that. I got the two ladies finished and I got the house started, and I've got half a shrub. So I did what I said I would do. And then I picked up the peppermint purple blackwork pattern, the Rainbow Quilt Cross. And last time I had said that I kind of left this one by the wayside for a while, so I'd like to pick it up and try to do one little section a week from now on if I can. I managed to get 2 done in the time that I worked on this week. I guess one of them was quite an open pattern, so there weren't maybe as many stitches, which probably allowed me that extra time. But I worked on this one and on this one here. So they're both pretty, and it's just another little bit of progress. I'd be really happy just to see one section a week filled in, if I can, because at least it's continuing to progress and not being forgotten about, not languishing somewhere unloved, because I really do like it, and it would be nice to see it finished and not forgotten at the whims of my following all the new shiny things. I got a little bit more progress on the Modern Folk Embroidery 2020 SAL, which looks like this. This was my second Whip Go project for May, and at the time when I last recorded, I had it, excuse me, itchy nose. At the time I last recorded, I hadn't completed that goal yet, but there were still some days left in May, and I'm glad to say that I did get my 10 hours completed. That allowed me to, come this way, that allowed me to finish off this little hearts border and put in this shaping border here. So it doesn't look like a lot of progress, but I'm very happy with that. Again, slow and steady is hopefully going to win the race, and I am allowing myself the full 2 years to do this rather than 1, because there's just too many other things to be stitching. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous design. Jacob really knows how to, he really knows how to create satisfying stitch patterns. For my daily thread, I'm still working on the Be Happy needlepoint. Again, that one behind. And you can see that I have really made a lot of progress. I hope anyway you can see. But last time, lots of these flowers were not filled in. The background was there and the leaves were there, but the flowers were not filled in. So I have got lots of those all completed, and a few more bees as well. So that's my daily thread, where I put 1 thread a day into the project before I stitch on whatever else I'm working on that day. And it just gives you that little bit of progress, sort of inch by inch, as it were. I'm very happy with that. Okay, that's it for the whips. But I did also have a couple of new starts. It was bank holiday, and I did say I was going to allow myself a new start on the bank holiday. And my plans for that were the Heartstring Samplery My Necessity, which is this one, which I explained I'm making in advance for my husband as a 25th wedding anniversary present for next year. I got on really well with this one. I got a little bit further than I probably thought I would. I do love a band sampler. So here you go, here's my progress. I've got You're the Cream and the 2 top borders, and I finished the thread just by coming down into the next border as well. So this is a 32 count Murano in Silver Moon, I think. Let me just have a look. I should have had this information out. I'm pretty sure it's Silver Moon, and the thread is DMC 3371, and it's working very nicely so far. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that progress. I had a second little start, and it is just a little start this time, but this is Hello Pumpkin. I don't have a cover picture for that, but I'm sure you're all very familiar, and I did show last time what the pattern's supposed to look like. It's one of Caterpillar Cross Stitch's seasonal trees, and this one's their autumn tree that they've called Hello Pumpkin. So I just have some of the, oops, it doesn't want to stay on there. Let's see, I forgot, I think the weight of the little needle minder probably helped that to fall off there. So that is a Caterpillar Cross Stitch needle minder. It was the one that was designed to go with the Hello Pumpkin, and I couldn't resist it. It's beautiful, little owl. So I just have some of the ground grass beneath the tree, really. So it's got sort of just a few stitches in really, but it's a start. And as I had said before, I was hoping that I could start this one in June and work on it in July and August, maybe a little bit in September, to try and finish it off in the hope that it might be ready seasonally for autumn in late September, early October. So that's the plan, and I'm there so far. We'll see how that goes. This week I had a little bit of haul. I ordered from Oil Forest Embroidery in Russia. I'd seen lots of very nice designs and patterns and kits that other people had been receiving, and I went to have a wee look myself, and they had a hummingbird pattern, and I have been looking for a little hummingbird pattern, and it's a little hummingbird sampler, and I'll show you what it looks like. This is it. It's not, I don't think it's showing very well there. Anyway, it's really nice, and I liked it, and I thought I would give it a go. It wasn't overly expensive. It is available as a download, so you can just order for the PDF, but I did order the actual printed chart, which I should show you, and I obviously can't show you the chart itself, but I'll just let you see that design comes on an A3 piece of paper, and you can see through the back there. I'll just show you the back, the light coming through, that it's printed. It's a nice big chart, so it will be nice and easy to read and easy to see. On the website, they didn't have this one as a kit, but they did have separately a thread pack, and they did have the recommended fabric. So whilst it wasn't all together as just a one-click kit, I was able to buy their variegated threads and the recommended fabric. So the fabric they had recommended was a 32 count ice blue Belfast linen, which I'll pop on the board here so that you can see. It's beautiful. It's so hard to get the colours to show up properly. And then they have these gorgeous flosses, which I'm going to try and hold on here. Oh! Avalanche, avalanche. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. Now, they're still going to slide. That's maybe the problem there. There, that's better. They might not slide so quickly. So I hope you can see those colours because they are beautiful. So I'm very excited to have this in my stash. It'll be a while before I get round to starting it and stitching it, but I am really excited, and it's lovely quality, and everything came very nicely packed. It wasn't a kit, so it wasn't all boxed together, but it was very nicely presented in any case. And for the delivery from Russia, I think it just took about 3 weeks from there to the UK, so that wasn't really too bad at all, I don't think. Especially since I don't have the excuse of having no other projects to work on while I'm waiting for it. So I think we all probably have enough time on our hands to wait for the delivery from somewhere else, if we're ordering from the likes of Russia and you find a reputable retailer. So Oil Forest certainly seemed to be doing a very nice job, and I'm very happy with what I had ordered from them. So not quite haul, but still an acquisition. I had been seeing lots of you post pictures of the new Emma Condren book, the Cross Stitch for the Earth, I think it's called. And I liked what I was seeing, but I was aware that she had a first book, which many of you will already know about, but I hadn't actually seen the book. So I ordered it from my library just to see if I could have a look at the book and see if it would be worth maybe adding to stash at some point. And it certainly is. So I ordered the book from my local library. You can see the library numbers. And I had a good look through it, and honestly, this book is so beautiful. If you like cross-stitched little sayings, then this would be perfect for you, and perfect for making giftables, really. So I've seen several, Georgia Girl Stitcher and a couple of other people are stitching this one, A Smooth Sea Never Made a Skillful Sailor, which I think is just perfect if you have someone in your life that would be appropriate for. Just perfect. I found lots that I'd like to stitch, but in particular I have bookmarked these two. So this one says, the best view comes after the hardest climb. Is that better? Now, my husband and son are mountain climbers, mountain runners, orienteers, fell running, all of that. So I thought this might make a really nice small gift for my son. I know, you know, it's not always easy to gift a 19, 20-year-old a piece of cross stitch, but I thought he might appreciate that. And he's finishing up in university halls this year, and he's moving into private rented accommodation for next year. So I thought I might try to make that either, well, probably not for September, but possibly just as a stocking filler for Christmas. I could make that that little slogan design for him. I think it's probably cool enough to be acceptable to him, and it's not too fussy, all that. So again, I'm using my children as an excuse to stitch things I like, whether they're really going to like them or not. But I warned you I would do that. The other design that I really, really want to stitch is this "No act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted." I love the sentiment in that. I would fully believe in that sentiment. Kindness really, truly just goes a very long way. I have been the recipient of much kindness in my life, and I know that my life has been blessed by it, and I like to return kindnesses when I can, or pay them forward when I can too, because I think there is much love and blessing to be had, more than we will probably ever be aware of. So I like that, and I really like the Emma Congdon book. So if you were thinking of having a look at the book or ordering the book, I would highly recommend it. If you're not sure, do what I did and go to your library and borrow a copy. But you'll probably be doing an order for one very soon after you borrowed it from the library. So my other purchases in recent days have been for kitting up projects. So I have purchased some threads for the Blue Flower Tudor Bee. So this is a Janine McGowan pattern that was released at this year's Expo. It's beautiful. I ordered several of Janine's patterns this year. I thought her releases were just wonderful. So this pattern was in my stash, and I hear a rumour via Betsy Kleger that there's going to be a Tudor Bee stitch along. I think I keep saying sew along for SALs, but it should be stitch along. So I think there's going to be a Tudor Bee stitch along, and I'm not entirely sure of the details. I need to watch a few more floss tubes to find out, but I wanted to be ready. So I had the pattern in my stash. So I chose some fabric from my stash, which is 32 count Permin linen in French country mocha. And I bought a few of the threads. A few came from stash, and a few of the threads. Aren't those colours just so rich and beautiful? They are perfect for the design. So I'm looking forward to that. And it was nice to have a pattern already in stash and fabric there. And these are the DMC threads for the pattern. The main recommendation is, I think, NPIs. Yes, needlepoint silks is the main recommendation, but Janine also has a DMC conversion on her patterns, so I've just gone for the DMCs. And the other threads then that I was purchasing are for something very exciting, and that is the Crocette a Gogo Finestra del Tempo SAL. So I showed these last time. These are La Finestra del Tempo, which translates as time windows. The patterns are from Crocette a Gogo. That's Marula, and she has an Etsy shop, Crocette a Gogo. At the moment, there are 2 patterns out. There's January to April, and there's May to August. September to December will come. At the moment, these 2 are able to be purchased, and I mentioned on Flosstube number 2 that I was thinking of starting this in August, and if anyone would like to join me, we could make it a SAL. So I'm really pleased that several of you are going to join along. I think we have maybe about a dozen people so far, and I have popped it up on my Instagram page, a little invitation, and all of the details are there on the Instagram page. But essentially, the details are that we're going to sew along. We're going to start on Sunday the 1st of August, and for the month of August we are going to stitch the January pattern. Now if you really want to stitch one of the other months, just do it. It doesn't, you know, I'm not policing this. Okay, so if you want to stitch with one of the other months, maybe in August you want to stitch the August pattern, that's fine, although just be aware that September isn't out just yet, but it should, I think it probably will be out just before the month of September. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is this is the plan, but it's not the rule. So if you want to stitch a different month, that's fine, but I am going to start the stitch along. I'm going to sew January in August, in September I'm going to sew February, and so on. That will bring us to finishing up with the July pattern next July 2022. So that could be part of your stitching in Christmas in July or Jolly July. If you follow that, you can finish that off. By starting with January in August, I'm hopeful that I can get the month stitched in August, and then that gives me September, October, November to try to make it into a finish. I haven't decided what kind of a finish I want, and I need to learn a lot about finishing, so that gives me a wee bit of time to gather that, and then hopefully it will be fully finished on time for display in January 2022. So if you would like to join us, gather your patterns, go to the Etsy shop and order them from Marula, and then gather your fabric and your threads, and you've got quite a long time because I know the 1st of August is still quite a bit away. I didn't make it start in July because I do want to do a lot of Christmas sewing in July, and already had plans for that, so I'm kind of giving us a little bit longer. So you've got lots of time to collect your threads. I have decided to stitch mine on a pale grey, so it's I think it's a Murano Silver Moon. I haven't got a note, but I will let you know next time. I'll show you. I have cut my fabrics because I'm going to make them all individually. Those are the I need to get better at this, don't I? I need to pin this in place or something. These should be bloopers, but I won't be editing this out. Editing takes forever. Okay. It was all pretty a minute ago, but anyway, those are the very beautiful threads that are required for the first couple of patterns. And I also had some that were left over from Shine On. So these 3 colours are left over from the Shine On, and they are the exact same colours required. So I'm going to be able to use those. So yes, I've been purchasing some DMC for the Tudor Bee and for this one, and I'm very excited that we've got a SAL. I'm very excited that some of you are joining me. Thank you so much for that. If you have stitchy friends you want to mention it to and see if you can garner some support, maybe you've got a group of people that you sew with regularly and can get together with and have a bit of fun with these lovely calendar pieces from Marula. Marula does know that we are having the stitch along. I asked her permission to copy her photographs into my Instagram post just as a courtesy, and she said yes, she kindly granted that permission. And she has also reposted on her Instagram. So, you know, if you follow her, you might have seen the invitation too. And I am the So Me Sarah that she's talking about. So it's all going to be very casual and lots of fun, and we'll get to see each other's pictures. And if you change things up, because I know some of you are from Australia, from the southern hemisphere, and some of the patterns don't quite work in terms of seasonally for you, but you might be able to change them up. So that's going to be really fun too, to see how people make these patterns work for themselves. So please join us, come along and have some fun with that. So that's where we're at. So now I want to tell you a little bit about my plans. Pretty much I want to keep working with all of those whips that you've just seen. I want to join the Tudor Bee if and when that gets started and continue my whips. The priority will be Home Sweet Home because it's for a gift, and I want to keep working at that to get it finished and pass it on. And I have one more new start in my plans, and that is because it is number 17 on my whip go board, and it is going to be a new start. So I have 10 hours to complete my whip go goal. I have 10 hours to complete on Love Lives Here by Country Cottage Needleworks. So very cute cottage, very pretty trees, little fences and birds on it. What's really not to love on this pattern? So again, I've been gathering, and you see how beautiful the threads are. And this is a Belfast silver winter moon. I think it's winter moon this one is called. It's a very cream linen. So I don't stitch very much on linen. I haven't done yet, but I did add a few small pieces to my stash. So this is a perfect size. So I'm going to give that a go and hopefully get that 10 hours of a start on that project to meet my whip go goal this month. So all of that is all of my stitching and all of my plans, and if you've been very patient, thank you for bearing with me. So I can now share with you the giveaway for having 1,000 subscribers. As I said before, I'm so grateful to all of you, so I want to give you a thank you reward for that, a little opportunity to win something. So this weekend, when I was stitching my project bags, I decided I would make a project bag for you. I went for a Christmas project bag because I thought Christmas in July stitching was coming up and people will start their projects and then continue working on them. So that's the reason why you're going to see Christmas fabric. I used Laurie Holt's Cozy Christmas line, which is beautiful. These prints, so they're very small here. This was it's a recipe print for gingerbread cookies. And you can see the colours are very pretty. So it's patchworked back and front. It's a top opening zipper again. And I have a little Christmas tree charm on this one for you. She doesn't want to turn around for the camera, it's very shy. Christmas tree charm. And then inside it is lined with another print from Laurie's collection, a lovely Christmas star print. And I'm going to send you this pattern, which is for a little Christmas pillow ornament. It is by Homespun Elegance and is called Snow Joyful. I think that snowman and the cardinals and the word joy is just lovely. And you guys have all brought me so much joy engaging in this last couple of weeks of my journey into Flosstube. So I want to share that. And up here, you can see a little fabric button needle minder, which I made out of some of the scraps from the Laurie Holt. So that's to match, everything's falling over. That's to match your project bag. So it's just a little needle minder to hold on your stitching. So I hope you will enter the giveaway, but please don't use the words giveaway or freebie or anything like that, because we all know that people troll Flosstubes on YouTube to find giveaways and then they sell it on and they have got no interest in stitching whatsoever. So in the interest of this prize going to someone who actually wants to stitch it and someone who is actually one of you lovely people who have come along and watched and encouraged me, please don't use any of those kinds of words. The giveaway is open internationally. I will post it to anyone, anywhere in the world. Please be 18 or over so that I can ask you for your address. Please like this video and be a subscriber, and enter your comment below. I'll give you a word in a moment, but enter your comment below by the 24th of June, and I will hopefully be back by the 25th with a new video and a winner. I will draw a winner on the 25th. So enter by the 24th, use the word summer in your comment, and tell me what project you are most looking forward to stitching this summer. I am most looking forward to my Christmas stitching, which I want to do in July, and I am hoping, if I can get hold of the PDF on time, that I will start stitching the new Priscilla and Chelsea Stitching with the Housewives pattern, which is And to All a Good Night. They released it last weekend and I can't wait to get my hands on it. It is absolutely gorgeous. So that's what I'm most looking forward to stitching this summer. Of course, there's so many other things I really am enjoying stitching too, but that would be my answer to the question. So tell me your answer to the question. Make sure you put the word summer in the comment, like and subscribe, and I wish you all luck. I hope someone who really wants this bag wins it. At this point, that's all of my stitching. So if you want to say goodbye now, I will hopefully see you next time. If you want to hang on for a minute or two, I've got a tiny bit of quilting to share. I was on a project bag kick last weekend. I think sometimes when I'm making them, I think it's almost as easy to do 2 or 3 at a time, and just do them as a sort of conveyor belt in stages. So alongside the Christmas pouch and the Create Everyday pouch, I used some more of my scraps and made another one. So these are 3.5 inch squares, front and back. They're laid out in a 4x4 formation. I use Laurie Holt's suggested method for managing my leftover materials, which is to cut things into manageable squares. I don't have anywhere near the kind of number that Laurie does, but I do have a box of 2.5 inch squares that I can go to, and a box of 3.5 inch squares I can go to. So these were ones from my 3.5 inch square, and you can see that I chose ones that kind of coordinated in those main colours from these 2 main prints. But they make a pretty patchwork, they make pretty project bags. This one has got a little scissor charm at the top, and I've already put one of my labelling tags on. These are just white key tags. Sometimes they're for luggage, or perhaps in offices and office premises for labelling keys. You know, they're all lined up in a cabinet, but they're very handy. If not the prettiest, but they're very handy for labelling the bag with your project name, especially if it's not a vinyl bag and therefore you can't see into the project. Although I have to say that my vinyl bags get in such a mess and the project ends up buried in the bottom, and I don't know what it is anyway. So that's just one of the other quick scrappy project pouches that I made. And I managed just one of the spelling bee blocks. You'll know that I am working on the Spelling Bee quilt by Laurie Holt. And I've done maybe about 15 or 16 blocks altogether. This week I just managed to stitch one. It needed a little bit of embroidery on it. So it's a globe, like for classroom geography lessons. And then I had to embroider this little curved axis on it. So, sorry, it's not an axis, but you know what I mean. So I had to stitch that on. It's a little bit wobbly, but I'm not going to get too worried about that. In the overall scheme, a bigger picture of the quilt, it'll be just fine. So that was one tiny block this month. Or this last couple of weeks, I do have more cut out and ready to go. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get a bit more. So that'll be part of my quilting plans. And then my other quilting plan is very exciting. It is to come up with an idea for and make 3 small quilting gifts for my quilting besties, because ta-da, we have actually booked a weekend to get together after all this time and being denied weekends last year because of COVID. We are finally going to get a weekend together. Well, it's not a weekend, actually. We're going for 4 days midweek this time. We do usually do weekends. We're going for 4 days midweek in July, and there's my friend Judith from here, and the 2 of us are going to travel across and see our friends Di and Trudy in England. And we call ourselves Tats, Threads Across the Sea, because 2 of them are in England, 2 of us are here, and we alternate and we hop back and forward and visit and stitch and catch up and generally share some very fun and soul-soothing time together. So I'm really looking forward to that, but I need to come up with 3 gifts, because when we meet we normally swap little handmade gifts, and the girls, they are extraordinary stitchers and they make the most beautiful things. So pressure is on for me to think of something different to make this time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But it will be fun, and hopefully next time I see you I will either have those started, finished, or at the very, very least planned, because I need them to be ready for mid-July. So that's exciting to have some stitchy gathering to look forward to. I hope you do too. I know that StitchCon is on in the next few weeks in the US. I know that some retreats are starting up, and all of those things make a big difference to us as individuals when we can get together with our stitching buddies, have a laugh, share our stitching, enjoy our passion together, and generally just have communion. It is just so good. So I wish you all well. Thank you for bearing with me through the video. I wish you well, and until next time, stitch happy and stay well. Bye.